we're asking the question, will the Dem firewall hold in Pennsylvania? Will the firewall hold in Nevada? Will Charlie Kirk's voice hold out to the election? Andrew, I want to start with you. Andrew, can you guide the audience through exactly, I know we have tape, this whole garbage gate started with a bad joke in Madison Square Garden that, of course, the Democrats went all in on as their closing message. Their closing message was rhetorical-based and narrative-based, not policy-based. And excuse me. And now it is turning into a major liability for them. Andrew, walk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, the irony here is thick, Charlie. I mean, you got to go back. We had Tony Hinchcliffe, the comedian that Trump says he doesn't even know who he is, 5 hours before Trump even entered Madison Square Garden at that rally. He made an off-color joke about Puerto Ricans and trash and all of these things. And that became the news story for like 48 hours, maybe a little bit longer. The media was hyperventilating about it. The Kamala campaign was saying, we've seized momentum. We have this, that we're really going to see some movement with Puerto Ricans in Allentown and this sort of thing. And then, like a thief in the night, Joe Biden puts his foot in his mouth on a Zoom call while Kamala Harris is supposedly making her closing argument at the mall in Washington, D.C. So he's counter-programming the vice president and to a devastating effect, and says that the only garbage that he sees are Trump supporters. And I mean, it's worth playing back the clip because the spin afterwards, Charlie, has been something, I would say it's historic. The spin has been historic. We've got some news outlets claiming that it was an apostrophe S, so it was Trump supporters garbage, not calling them garbage. We have other people calling it a result of Joe Biden's stutter. This is truly something to see, and I think we have to play the clip and let people make up their own mind here, because it's unfortunately for Joe Biden.
It's so
and
obvious. This is worse than deplorables. And I want to say this. I said this on Megyn Kelly's show. And Blake, the historian, I'm going to quiz you. You ready, Blake? Blake.
What's up?
Has there ever been a moment in American history where a president has said this about the American population that he is currently tasked to govern? In fact, let me be more specific. Even during the Civil War, did Abraham Lincoln talk about the people of the Confederacy as trash, garbage, vermin, or whatever vernacular of the day?
Definitely not. I think it is actually unprecedented, Charlie. It's a really jarring thing. You don't see. I feel like our politicians have gotten worse at politics, and Trump is this throwback entirely because he'll actually come out and just he's so confident. He's just like, yeah, of course, all the American people are great. They all are gonna totally vote for me, and that's what drives so much of what makes Trump appealing. Yeah, he's going to go to, he's going to do the rally in Madison Square Garden. He's going to do the rally in California. He's going to give his speeches where, appealing directly to Black Americans. He's going to post the Cinco de Mayo photo of him with the taco bowl where he's like, I love Hispanics. And he actually has this like very overflowing kind of love for all Americans. And he thinks they'll all vote for him. So it's like unthinkable that he would do this. But Democrats have taken a very different attitude. I mean, it's kind of no surprise. This is the party whose idea of a political agenda is to replace the people who don't vote for them. So why would they not kind of have this strong distaste for anyone who doesn't get on board with the platform? And that's a historical practice of the left, really. Jack Posobiec could tell you a lot about that.
I just want to reiterate this. Even during the Civil War, and I did some little digging, and I'm not a Civil War historian by any means. I actually know it rather poorly versus other things. I don't even think Abraham Lincoln talked about the Confederacy this way.
Well, one of Lincoln's favorite songs.
He said.
Well, one of his favorite songs was Dixie, which was that the kind of anthem. It's not really the anthem, but kind of the theme song of the South. He would he actually had a lot of appreciation for the South. And of course, the narrative was always part of the Civil War is that they were trying to save like the ordinary people of the South because it was a tyrannical slaveholder regime and all of that. Yeah, you didn't have this whole like. Yeah, I don't think there's ever a line where Lincoln, I don't think that's part of the Gettysburg Address where he says, yeah, we're here because half the country was just, some garbage people. Not in the speech.
No, never. All right, let's play it. Let's play it here. This is Joe Biden calling you garbage. And I hope you guys tell all of your friends this is the time for the greatest turnout in American history. Joe Biden has declared war on you. He hates you. Play cut 50.
I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know. Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
His stutter.
That's bad. That's bad, guys. Andrew or Blake, you guys take it.
Yeah, I just want to make a note about this Lincoln comparison, Charlie. You bring up the Civil War, and I mean, you only have to look back to Lincoln's second inaugural address, the way he talks about people of the South. It says, neither party expected for the war the magnitude or the duration which it has already attained. Neither anticipated that the cause of conflict might cease, whether even before the conflict itself should cease. Each looked for an easier triumph and a result less fundamental and astounding. Both read the same Bible and pray to the same God, and each invokes his aid against the other. I mean, and he's talking about with malice towards none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right. I mean, I mean, to Blake's point, I mean, this was a time of statesmen that had this lofty rhetoric, but the appeals to the Almighty, and to see how far we've fallen with somebody like Joe Biden. And then on top of that, to see the punditry class panic and spin and try and say, well, it was a stutter. Oh, it was an apostrophe S. When all of that is very clear if you play the tape back, Charlie. I mean, this was a cataclysmic moment for the Kamala Harris campaign. Make no mistake. And I'm not necessarily saying it's going to move votes, but what I will say is that it will motivate our side to get out to vote. And the second thing I will say is that remember the moment. This is when Kamala Harris and the media establishment were saying that this joke by Tony Hinchcliffe was going to motivate their base, and it was going to be this kind of spring into the last week. Charlie, nobody can tell me a line from Kamala Harris's closing argument because this has completely overshadowed the news cycle.